Let me start with the moderator for this event. Please welcome Rabbi Melissa Weintraub. And I'm proud to bring, first of all, the producer of the film, Yvonne Mansbach, and the director of the film, Irit Gal. And please welcome Kate Press from J Street to join the conversation as well.
Good evening, everyone. I think that everybody who's still sitting wants to stay for the discussion. I'll assume that. So we're actually going to start with all of you before we turn to our panelists. And I want to ask everyone, I just saw this film, this was the second time, even more powerful the second time. I want to ask everyone to think of a moment or a scene or an image from the film that struck you, moved you, disturbed you, surprised you, somehow has stayed with you. And turn to someone, I'm going to give a couple more instructions before you do this, but I'm going to ask you to turn to someone sitting next to you or behind you and share that moment. So the further instruction is this. Each person is going to speak for 1 minute, and I want to ask you to give that person undivided attention without interruption and non-judgmental attention. And then keep an ear to the stage because I am going to tell you when to switch, and also I'm going to tell you when you bring your attention back here so that we can turn to our esteemed panelists. Okay, so everyone turn to someone next to them, and you can take a minute first to think about a moment that struck you or stirred you, surprised or disturbed you.
I give up the water. Yeah, I'll be very happy. It'll be good.
Okay, now switch to person B, if you haven't done so already. You can finish your sentence, of course.
We just made it. Yeah, no, we made it actually it was filmed in September, August, September 12th. It's very recent. They made it in the summer also, which is terribly hot. I know that I can say. Yeah.
Okay, and if everyone can bring their attention back to us, please. You can finish your sentence. And I want to ask, as soon as the hum stops, I want to ask for a few volunteers to share moments, scenes, images. Yeah. I think someone is supposed to be running around with the mic, but...
It's quite a challenge to pick out the most depressing scene.
Yeah.
One long, unrelieved, depressing scene. But for me, the worst was the very last one, where they're describing how the land was confiscated from them, given to the settlers, and then they have to rent their land back to cultivate the land that they own in the first place. But you could pick any one of a dozen scenes like that. The destruction of the village by the bulldozers, the sending the kids off to walk who knows how many miles to school. It's take your choice.
So I noticed all that, but I also noticed what I would call the magnificent desolation. So, I mean, that was the words that were used to describe the moon, but I think they fit here in the sense that it's a desolate place, but it's also very beautiful. And I think the film captured that, which I thought was an interesting counterpoint to the human mess that we're all creating there. And I thought was actually quite useful in that sense, because it explains to some extent why people are there to begin with, I think.
Nice. Could we just wait for the microphone?
I'm just feeling so moved that it's actually hard to verbalize it. I'm a South African Jew. I was born in 1953. Apartheid became a legitimate system in South Africa in 1948, ironically, and the similarities are just mind-boggling. I mean, it's just incredible. When what struck me as being absolutely identical was when the one man talked about having to produce his ID all the time, and even at 11 o'clock at night. And I remember stories in South Africa, besides seeing the brutality of the whole apartheid system and experiencing it, of just people stripped of all kinds of human dignity. And it leaves me very confused. As a Jew, I start questioning, how desperate do people have to get that we judge suicide bombers and that type of thing, which is hideous, but they've been stripped of their humanity completely.
Thank you.